What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Weed and Talking MMA podcast. Today we are going to be smoking on some fine Las Vegas herb. We got some Jack Herer. We got some chocolate OG in the bubbler over here. And Paul is lighting up a delicious Double Tangie Banana. Most of these are sativas, which we're hoping keeps us talking and alert instead of passing out from the indicas. We also got some, what is that, Tahoe OG shatter for the rig here.
Tahoe OG. So.
Yeah, so we're set for some fine herb. The OG is indica, but that's all right. Shatter's a fucking welcome addition. How's that taste over there, dude?
It's fucking nice, man.
I haven't tried this before. It's a cross of a Double Tangie and Banana. It's made by Crockett Farms, and it smells really great. I'm excited. This is grown by Prime. I haven't had a lot of good experiences with Prime, but this one I'm excited for. So that's the herb that we're smoking, and the fights we're going to be talking about. Dude, I see you got your USA Wrestling shirt on over there.
You already know, son.
Yeah, your boy last night, dude.
Over, son.
What a fight, huh?
Telling you, bro. All it takes is a good wrestler with a great wrestler with a good game plan. Fucking beat anybody in the world, bro. Literally.
It's a pretty big moment for USA Wrestling.
Fuck yeah, man. First Olympic champion to just go in and I just feel like a lot of emphasis is not really being placed on like the significance of the fight because of how close it was. But people don't realize the fucking longest reigning UFC champion as far as wins ever just lost last night.
And
to a guy that he murked the first time in 45 seconds.
Absolutely. And you're right, it was a close fight, but I don't feel it was controversial. I personally was thinking DJ was going to get the nod, but I'm not mad about it. There's no robbery. That was a close fight.
Yeah, here's the thing with decisions like that is no one wants to see anyone lose in a fight like that because it was such an entertaining fight. And like, dude, I just feel like a lot has been said about how great DJ's camp is and his coaches, which they are. They're top notch for sure. But something needs to be said of what Henry Cejudo and his camp were able to accomplish in the last 2 years to go out and put on a performance like that.
Without a doubt, that was vast improvement, and like, he put on some size.
Oh, for sure.
And he could still move quite well with that size. He
really has changed his entire game has changed since that loss. Now he stands in more of like a karate style stance, kind of sideways with his lead leg more out, and then he's got a lot more feints, a lot more touching before he strikes, and I feel like it fucked DJ up because he was looking at a guy that he thought fought one way, and he came out and just.
He did. He came out a lot different.
Like he said in the after-fight press conference last night, he made it awkward, you know? He made the fight awkward. And I think that's what really DJ hasn't been able to see in this division. A lot of guys fight the same, and he's pretty much slayed them all, you know? And now, dude, who would have thought we officially have the second ever flyweight UFC champion, bro?
I think this is great. I think it's great for the division. Honestly, I think it's great for DJ. He's already established a record with his title defenses.
True.
And he needs a foil. Every great fighter needs someone that they can go up against to bring out the best in him. We all know this, you know.
And I don't think so necessarily though, because he kind of already does with Dominic Cruz. Everyone.
No, I'm talking about. I don't mean. You mean Demetrius Johnson and Dominic Cruz?
I think so because
DJ always points to the size differences. He doesn't seem interested in bantamweight anymore.
Is a small guy too. I don't think so. I think
at flyweight, this is just what DJ needed.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
If he wants to go up to bantamweight later and fight Cruz, I would see that. But I think that well, look, he smoked everybody that's come along. This is what they need. There's going to be an immediate rematch. There's going to be a rematch.
Has he though?
DJ?
Yeah.
I would say 12 straight wins would say he smoked everybody that came along. Now, there were some close fights along the way.
That's what I'm saying. He had a lot of close fights along the way, and I feel like
he had a lot of straight Merkins, too. Look at that flying armbar, those KOs. KO'd Dotson in the rematch.
Yeah,
KO'd Benavidez in the rematch. KO'd Cejudo in the first one.
Yeah, of course. Here's the thing.
Dropped
though.
a flying armbar on Roy
Here's
Borg. Suplex the flying
here's the
armbar.
thing. Everyone respects the last 6 of his defenses. It's the first 6 of his defenses that no one really like. Well, I guess first 5.
Shows improvement though, right? Improvement as a fighter.
Definitely shows improvement, but at the same time, it's hard for people to just go out like everybody says. When you're talking him versus any other guy in a division who's champion, everyone points to the resume. Literally, everyone's damn. Demetrius Johnson could be the greatest of all time if he had fought in a different weight class.
Right, but now he's got somebody, right? He's got Cejudo, which circles back to my point. This is what he needs. If he comes back in the rematch and beats Cejudo, then people can't say he's beating all these cans, right?
I still just don't
Isn't that half your argument that those early fighters, they say, oh, the flyweight division's not that deep. These guys aren't that good. And maybe they weren't, some of them. But this,
here's the problem, though.
You can't say that about Cejudo now.
I think this is a constantly evolving division, and I think that Sergio Pettis could also beat DJ.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. Maybe we'll find out.
Because technically, when you think about it, although there's most likely going to be an immediate rematch for DJ, Sergio's kind of that next man up after beating Joseph Benavidez.
He's that new breed, too.
Exactly.
I like Sergio. We met Sergio over a couple weeks ago. Nice guy.
Yeah, he's cool.
Fucking.
It was weird though. He was like the only guy. He was like the only guy at the whole thing that wasn't just like, oh hey, nice to meet you. He like asked you legitimate questions. Like,
oh yeah, we talked.
Like, I walked up with my Cavs head. He's like, oh, you're from Ohio? No way. I was like, oh nope, not. But I like the Cavs, bro. But he was cool as fuck, dude. Yeah, really cool guy.
And he's definitely that new breed. And you might be right about DJ and him, but.
Well, here's my thing. I think DJ's at a crossroads in his career where kind of where Jose Aldo was when Conor beat him, where it's like kind of the everyone realizes what you have to do now. That's something about getting beat when you're dominant like that. Mm-hmm. Is like when someone cracks the code, that's when you start people start like really putting it on him. Look at Aldo. Since he's lost to Conor, he's probably had 2 of the worst losses in his career against Max. Same thing. There's a lot of fighters you can go down the list. There's a wall that every champion hits from constantly being in these championship fights.
This is true. GSP hit that wall and left.
And like that,
before it turned into.
They said after the fight that he hurt his ankle and possibly tore his LCL.
Broke his foot in LCL.
That comes with being someone who's constantly in 5-round fights.
He's only 31, though. I would argue he's still in his prime.
11 5-round fights in a row. It's tough to keep that going, man.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but I think that DJ's the guy I think he's going to come back and has a good chance of winning that rematch.
I don't know, dude.
I'm really intrigued by it. I think what we got now, though, which is good for the flyweight division, is going to be that intrigue.
I don't think Cejudo's going to be in that division very much longer, to be honest. He's already
calling out the bantamweights, yeah.
Well, and like we were talking about, in the beginning of his UFC career, he had a real tough time making 25, and then he got bigger. So I just don't see how much longer he can make that 125 class with being that size. If he chooses to not lift anymore, if that was kind of his pinnacle of like what he wanted to do, which I can understand. Some fighters do that ends up happening to them. Once they touch the title, they're like, fuck, I don't need to be this big anymore. I'm already here. And tries to go back that weight class. I think DJ will beat him.
That could be. That's a possibility. I got to say,
everybody knows it's just size. You just got to put some size on him.
It's a tribute to Cejudo's discipline that having missed weight earlier in his career when he was smaller.
Inside trips were so nasty.
Having missed weight earlier in his career when he was smaller, he put on a good amount of size and had no issues making championship weight. And performing at a top level with that added size.
He weighed 24.5, bro.
And the discipline to follow that game plan, like you were saying.
Yeah.
The right game plan.
Dude, for sure, because there was quite a few times in that fight where DJ hit him with some hard strikes.
Without a doubt.
Like, there was a big kick in, I think, the 3rd round where Cejudo literally, like, was rocked, but then went straight into a front headlock, and fucking inside tripped him like he did all, like, literally his inside trips last night, like, were
they were beautiful.
Sick, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, from that front headlock, too, like, as like wrestling wise, bro, that was like a perfect performance. But
And
then
he did it
again, on the
multiple
other
times,
side,
yeah.
DJ's wrestling got really good. Those Grambies out of those takedowns were
Going to
sick.
that roll every time. Yeah, that was good. That was great. That was an excellent fight,
It was a
man. Who
great
doesn't want
fight,
to see
man.
that again?
I'll watch that fight.
That was fucking great.
I don't care who wins. 9
Congratulations
times out
to
of 10,
both men.
bro. Like, I'll watch that fight every time.
And
But I'm just always gonna go for a wrestler in any fucking
Well, of course you
situation
are.
who isn't named Daniel Cormier.
And I thought Johnson was fucking classy. I mean, we
100%.
talked about those injuries, but he's in no way putting that shit
Oh,
out as an excuse.
no,
He just
not at all.
mentioned it as an offhand thing. He was like, yeah, I think I might have fucked my shit up.
He's one of those guys.
He's
though,
classy
too.
as hell.
He understands it. Like, he sees it as like a martial art at the end of the day. You know, where you're gonna have your ups and downs, but you're constantly evolving. When you're losing, it means you have something you can get better at. You know, and I feel like for a guy like DJ who's been at the top like that, it's kind of almost. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, mentally, it could be a bad thing, but physically, knowing where you're like inefficient to other fighters is a good thing. Because now, if you're DJ, why not take 6? He's having a kid soon. Why
Right.
not take 6 months, a year off? Let Cejudo fight Pettis or someone like that. You know, let him fight TJ Dillashaw, do something like that, and win or lose, you're still in the mix because
I would actually prefer that if he
Yeah.
took 6 or 9 months off,
Yeah,
didn't
and-
fight somebody else,
Of course.
allowed for a defense.
Yep.
I think that would be great. I don't think he should have to fight somebody else to get a rematch, though.
No, not at all.
But I would much prefer the scenario you just laid out. Well, let's talk about the other fight, which I
Oh,
fucking
you mean
loved.
the fight that happened
other
in LA
championship
last
fight.
time? Oh yeah, both
That
fights?
rerun of the
Yeah,
last
fucking-
fight, but even better
Yeah, dude.
on TJ's part.
Did the fucking UFC just
That was-
throw? Did they even fight last night, or is that a rerun?
Did they
Like-
just replay that footage?
Fuck, man! Like, way to just not improve at all, Cody Garbrandt.
he did the same thing.
Blame shit.
But damn, TJ beat the fucking shit out of him,
Oh,
man.
dude. Here's the thing, though. He didn't. During the finish, TJ beat the shit out of him.
No,
But
during the finish.
Overall,
Yeah, no,
Cody
that's what I'm
was winning
speaking
that
about.
fight before he got rocked.
I'm talking about that last sequence of unanswered punches.
Oh, yeah. Bro,
over
what the
like
fuck was...
like 1
How
minute.
did that even go as long as it did? He was getting... so many times I was like, oh, it's over. Oh, it's over.
No, he can't argue
Oh,
that
I
was
guess-
stopped
oh,
too
wait,
soon.
I guess he's not over. Oh, it's over. Nope, I guess not over. Like, it was like constantly back and forth because he was just like in different positions. Yeah, he was moving, but he was just getting fucking lit
He's
up,
getting
dude.
worked.
With
Worked.
unanswered punches.
I don't know. I don't think Garbrandt was winning that fight before then. I think TJ was winning that fight. I think
I don't know.
TJ's
I think
movement
those
looked really
kicks
good.
by Cody were,
A lot of
were checking him a lot. And then
his
he-
kicks were
he
landing, but a
rocked
lot of
him
his
before
punches
that.
were. He rocked him, but he got rocked multiple times too. I mean, every time TJ got rocked, he fired back.
Here's a problem with Cody though too is when he rocked him and dropped him. Why I don't understand. It's this fucking emotional bullshit that he's got going on because when he fought Cruz and let him up, then he just picked Cruz apart because then Cruz was just dazed the whole fight.
Right.
Because constantly when you're getting up and the other guys isn't going crazy, you don't really have much chances to pick your shots when you're dazed. But then when you're Cody Garbrandt and you did that to Cruz, but then you can't turn around and do that to TJ. If anything, that should be your motive because who gives a fuck about a quick flash knockout? Quick flash knockout gives you a third fight.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just go out there and dominate them and show the world that that was a fluke, which I don't think he could have done anyways, but just as like from my perspective as what he was when he fought Cruz, if he could have fought Cruz the way he fought Dillashaw, he could have possibly beat Dillashaw.
He can't control his emotions. He didn't have that emotion against Cruz. He respected Cruz.
He doesn't have a fucking chin, dude. He
No.
does not have a chin.
Dillashaw's a solid puncher, but he's not some crazy KO artist. I don't think he has a chin. And his boxing, while he has good punches, he does not have any defensive. He can't.
Absolutely
He
not.
can't keep tucked. He can't keep that chin
I don't
down.
understand why he doesn't wrestle.
I didn't. It was a terrible game plan, like you
Wrestled in
said.
college. They were national champs. One of my brother's friends was on his team.
Or not a terrible
And he fucking-
game plan.
He's a great wrestler. Why the fuck doesn't he ever wrestle? I get it, you can strike, but why not put something like that in your game when you're fighting someone
I'll tell
like
you
TJ
why.
Dillashaw? That's how Cruz beat Dillashaw. Cruz was, although like it was tied on the feet, Cruz had what 4, 5, 6 takedowns in that fight, and Dillashaw had 0. Even though Dillashaw's a wrestler too, but still.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what happens. I mean, he fell in love with his boxing with those KOs. It happens to fighters, especially fighters who learn to box, or for boxers especially. You get that taste of that power, then you're always looking for it.
Yeah,
he falls away from his wrestling.
Dude,
I mean, look, he's always talking about his boxing,
boxing.
boxing.
He's Chuck Liddell of the bantamweight division at this point.
Yeah. Problem with his boxing is nobody apparently told him hands up, chins down. Yeah.
It was so emotional. I hate that shit. You can't be emotional in this game.
I loved it.
That's how you get beat.
Cody rubs me the wrong way. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I want to like him. I do. But something about him I find annoying.
It's not that I like him. I just dislike Dillashaw. To be honest.
Dillashaw's been growing on me with his... I love how he's like embracing the snake. Like he came out with a snake shirt.
I don't like that shit.
At first I thought it was lame, but when he came out with the snakeskin shirt at the fight last night, it just clicked with me. I found it pretty funny.
Fuck that guy. He reminds me of Kevin Durant.
He's pretty funny. I'm digging it. I like Dwayne Ludwig. You know, he's a big stoner. Dwayne Ludwig sits there and gets super high and watches tape and plans out punching combinations.
I don't
find
really
interesting.
have a problem with Ludwig. I just don't like Dillashaw at all.
They should get Ludwig on this podcast if humanly possible. Talk about some weed. I'm curious what he smokes.
Good shit, bro. He's fucking rich as fuck.
Yeah, they're based out in Colorado. I mean, he's got access to all kinds of
saying.
primo herb. Better herb than we got here in Vegas right now. Shit.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Colorado already has the pesticide testing in effect. We were talking about earlier. Anyways, back to the fights and off of the weed. Cub Swanson got smoked pretty quick.
Yeah,
He just signed a new contract, too.
Did he?
Yeah, best of luck to him, though. I like Cub,
he's
but
one of those guys.
his days as the elite,
there, bro.
His days at the elite are over, but that's fine. He's an exciting fighter. I don't think he's.
I think he could crack top 5 still, probably.
Yeah, by elite I mean top 5. I don't think so, and that's no disrespect. He's still a great fighter. It's no. Oh, you're not going to top 5 in the fucking world. It's not a diss.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I'll watch him fight every time, but I think those days are done. What is he? He's up there.
Yeah.
These WEC guys.
Speaking of
he fought
fights,
Jose Aldo in the WEC.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it's a lot of guys like that. Like, very similar to where, like, Anthony Pettis is. Like, Anthony Pettis is not really old, but, like, he has been fighting for so fucking long.
They turn pro at so young, some of these guys.
A lot of those guys. A lot of the alpha male guys.
Yeah.
A lot of the alpha male guys were in WEC and fucking fought forever, then came to UFC and ended up being duds because they were just like, they were killer in WEC, but then when they switched to UFC, they had been fighting for so fucking long. Yeah,
their best fights were already behind them.
Exactly.
Their prime years were in another.
I hate to do them like this, but Joseph Benavidez is kind of similar to that in that way. Like, his best fights were in WEC. His best fights in his career.
It's not a diss, dude. People age. It's the fucking fight game.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the beast. It's brutal.
Kind of like Cruz, too. Cruz is kind of his best years behind him as well.
It's unfortunate. We lost so many to injury. I feel like he could still have it there, but it's always something.
Fucking Donald Cerrone, dude. How many fucking fights does Donald Cerrone have, bro? Like, come on. A lot of these guys, Chad Mendez, a lot of these fucking guys, dude, they got so many fucking fights on their record. It's crazy.
It is. It's again with the WEC.
Yep.
But wasn't a lot of other good fights on that card, in my opinion. It was. They were okay.
I liked the Holland kid.
That kid in a losing effort made me a fan. That's for sure.
He's just funny as fuck.
Yeah, Holland was great.
He does this strange thing where he like pretends like he's rocked, and then comes out and explodes on people. It's crazy.
No, I'm excited to see him fight again.
Though he he took him down and like pretended like he was going for the Kimura and then just boom, dropping those bows. He almost finished him right there.
He did.
Santos was hurt, bro.
I really liked him in that fight.
But then I think if he had a full camp, I think that fight could have been a lot closer.
Yeah, 2 weeks notice, called up from the minor league, so to speak,
plus,
to the big show.
When you're that guy who was like, dude, he had embedded following him around.
Right.
Like, come on. He just signed. Like,
yeah, talk about your life did a 180.
Exactly, dude. dude. Just like give him.
Good for him, man. I hope they can sign him to a long-term contract.
He already said that.
Not long-term. For me,
that,
that's 3 fights.
Dana
That's a
said
long-term
he's already
deal.
given him a chance. He's given him a full camp, and he's for sure going to be signed for another fight.
Word. That's what I'm talking about. They need
Okay.
people like that. I hope
100%.
they match him well, where he gets some wins.
He's another one of those guys from the Contender Series, though, that not necessarily like he won his fight on the Contender Series, but he didn't get the contract.
Right.
Know? So a lot of those guys are like in an obscure spot because they're still in like the radar of like what's going on with the UFC, but like they kind of are just in limbo, you know? Because like, what are they gonna do? Go back and fight Legacy again? Like you just fought for the UFC and won. You already know you're on that level, you know?
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma, but I think it's a good one. The Contender Series is turning into a real plus.
Not only is it give a guy a chance at UFC, it gives him a chance to have his name out there, and then a company like Bellator and ONE FC, all the smaller, PFL or whatever the fuck it's all.
Yeah.
They all gives him kind of a look at him without having to go out and scout him, you know. And I think overall it's just better for everyone, you know, fighters, the UFC, MMA as a whole, you know.
Absolutely, dude. And I got to tell you, speaking of would have been better for UFC, MMA, you know what would have been better?
Fight off the card.
What would have been better for MMA and women's MMA and viewership is if that fight, the JJ Aldrich versus Pollyanna fight, would have been in Invicta, I would say.
Or on the undercard.
Or on the undercard, on Fight Pass and the prelims. Because that was... It's not high enough level MMA to be putting on a $65 pay-per-view.
I wonder what numbers this card did.
I'm sorry, you told me earlier, I missed this. Dana White said that was his favorite fight of the night.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, look, that's classic Dana White bullshit, and that's how you know it was more of a... I get you want exposure for women's MMA, but there's better examples than strawweight, unranked.
What weight are they?
Strawweights.
Oh, okay.
Unranked. That just, you can't charge $65 to see that low level of fighting. That like you can't have Ioana Jędrzejczyk fight and then follow it with that on a pay-per-view because the skill differentials, the casual viewer can see that, let alone the hardcore.
Definitely should have been on the pay-per-view the next week.
And that's not knocking those two girls. They didn't ask to be put on the main card.
And
that's the UFC.
Either of them aren't UFC level. It's just pay-per-view. I'm paying
$65 for HD pay-per-view. You need to see high-level mixed martial arts. This is the #1 promotion in the world still, despite
and this goes back
William
to
Morris Endeavor fucking it up.
The UFC, man, no one fights anymore because everyone's got a number next to their name, and everyone's like, you know what's the point of fighting if I got to fight the 6th guy and I'm number 2? What if I lose? Like, why don't you?
Yeah, they had some other fights they could have put on that main
man.
card, though.
Yeah, for sure. Not knocking women's MMA at all. Though,
no.
Because those fighters definitely belong in the UFC, but that fight just did not belong.
Isn't that why we have Fight Pass prelims, so you can get
Which was strange. This card
people exposure
this card
while...
didn't have Fight Pass prelims. Everything was on FX, which is weird.
I don't know who determines bout order.
Yeah, I don't know.
I doubt it's the matchmaker, but whoever it is...
No, I'm pretty sure it is the matchmaker, actually, because Dana White has...
Well, they got 2, so how could they just at least have to conference it?
Well, I'm guessing Dana White's probably the mediator in that.
You think he's... I don't know. These days, I don't know what William Morris Endeavor is doing, but that type of stuff, they should address it because... Yeah. You can't help... You only get 4 to 5 fights on that main card. This one was a stretch anyway. The 2 title fights at the top made up for what was an overall weak card. I mean, the next fight night is way better all the way down.
Make one of these title fights as a main event of either by themselves. Neither of them do shit for numbers.
No, you're right. This probably doesn't do shit for numbers. UFC's been on a downturn with those pay-per-views, and putting that fight on that we're talking about didn't help. Like that doesn't help next pay-per-view sales. Nah. But, anyways.
You know what will help sales is the fucking upcoming fucking schedule for the UFC. I'm praying. Oh, man. Everyone sit down and pray with me here.
I'm excited about this.
We must pray to the MMA gods that none of these fights get fucked up, man. Like, no fucking way, bro.
We
this
were just
could not get fucked up because there's too many good fights that will explain what the divisions have ahead of them for these fights to get scrapped.
Oh, this is a great schedule. It's nice to get excited. Last couple episodes ago, we were talking about how, frankly, it was more exciting things going on in Bellator.
Yep.
And UFC's made up for that.
Spiced it up real quick.
They spiced it up nice. I'm excited to see it.
Yep.
So many we could talk about. But
we'll kick it off with like probably the best
well, I mean, the
fight
news
next
coming
to
out.
the biggest news.
If it happens.
Nate Diaz, Dustin Poirier. Nate Diaz returns. Fucking
Maybe.
Poirier, yeah, maybe. Poirier is on a 4-fight win streak.
And looking sharp.
Well,
looking fucking nice.
3.5 fight win streak.
3.5, yeah. We'll call it that.
We'll call that no contest kind of a win. Because he was dominating there. But, beside the fact, he gets Nate Diaz possibly.
I do wish it was a 5-rounder.
Oh, yeah, it's co-main event.
But if it happens,
yeah, I'm
pretty fucking excited. Who isn't? Everybody's got to love that fight. And let's hope it comes
I'm wondering
through.
What's the main event then, if that's...
I have a theory. Let's circle back to this Diaz-Poirier fight in a second, but I was thinking about this. Now, this is a long shot.
This is a long shot.
And I'm praying. That the UFC has not announced it, because we're in the beginning of August right now. This is November 3rd is that MSG card.
I thought 30th.
I think it's the 3rd, but either way it is, either one is fine. I'm hoping they're holding out because they know an announcement from US-ADA is coming regarding Jon Bones Jones being eligible for a return, having suspension served due to his year out. Who cares? Who cares?
That's a stretch, bro. That's a stretch.
I told you it was a long shot. But that's, what is it, 5 months away?
Yeah.
Maybe they know something we don't know. Who's left? Maybe the MMA gods will smile upon us.
You're fucking ridiculous.
And Jon Jones will return to fight in Madison Square Garden.
And the co-main event will be Poirier and Nate Diaz. Stocky, homie.
Now, if you're wondering why we keep...
fucking stupid, bro. You see that video on TMZ?
I did. Folks, listen in. If you don't know why we keep saying if it happens, it's because it's in the 25th anniversary press conference, as soon as they announced Khabib versus Conor, they played a promo. Nate abruptly gets up, storms out of the press conference, runs into TMZ and says...
Fuck those, man. I slapped both of them. They're both my bitches.
And then he tweets...
He's like, Stockton, homie.
And then he tweets, I ain't fighting.
The funniest shit he said, bro. He goes, I slapped Khabib. I thought he was supposed to be from a third world country or something.
And then he goes to Twitter and says, fuck that, I ain't fighting. Fuck the UFC.
Yeah, that was funny.
But then we haven't heard anything since, so who knows?
And Dustin Poirier said, me either.
I think Dustin's just jumping on the bandwagon. Dustin's not. He's
both
fucking around.
I don't know, bro. Here's the deal. Diaz just doesn't give a fuck at the end of the day. He's like paranoid as fuck all the time. He's like, these fools trying to make money off me. This is bullshit.
It's getting a little ridiculous. I love the Diaz brothers. Been fan.
He must be smoking like some stress, bro. Like he's just fucking paranoid all the time. He's like, the UFC, they're trying to fuck me, man. They told me Conor's never fighting again. Like, what are you fucking that stupid, Nate? Like, you didn't think you were gonna get the fucking title fight after Conor threw a dolly through a fucking bus that Khabib was on? Oh no, that fight. Fuck that fight. That fight's never gonna happen. Oh, Nate, come get that third fight you were asking for after you haven't fought in 2 fucking years.
Makes zero sense.
Like, he's stupid, man.
That's what I love Nate, but the stick is wearing thin with me. Every time somebody mentions Conor, you got to have a bitch fit.
Fuck you, man.
I won both fights. Like, dude, just no, you didn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
you didn't. I love you. You didn't. And 2 years later, you're getting up and leaving because they show a Conor video. I mean, come on, dude.
Chill the fuck out.
Save that for like when that fight gets made.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to fight, cool.
It's not being a fucking bitch about it, bro. Like it's not like just because like anyone mentions this guy's name, it's like, oh fuck.
Like he thinks everyone's at the press conference to see him, and then Conor's like getting his name made off of Nate or some shit. I don't get it.
TMZ video too. He's like, These motherfuckers trying to embarrass me, man. They brought me to the press conference 15 minutes late on purpose.
They're driving him there? I mean, I don't...
They say, he said the people from the UFC picked him up and drove him there 15 minutes late on purpose.
Who knows what to believe anymore with Nate? I love him, but I don't know. The stick's wearing thin, dude.
It's Nate against the world at this point.
And it shouldn't be. It's not. It doesn't need to be. I get it. 209, bitches, fuck the world. But, dude, at some point, it gets a little silly. Stockton. I get it.
What I don't get
but goddamn,
is
dude,
why
chill.
does he talk all stupid like that and then Nick doesn't? Nick just talks like a normal dude.
Dude, Nate's not dumb either. They talk like they're
he just
half
talks
retarded
like,
sometimes. They're not dumb.
Bro, did you see that video I showed you, essentially on Twitter? That dude who does impersonations?
Yes.
That was so on point.
Brutal.
If you guys haven't seen it, go on Twitter and look up Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz impression. It's this one guy who does both impressions so fucking good.
Yeah, it's classic.
It's so funny.
We're about to fire up that chocolate OG and that bubbler right there. Nice brand new piece. It's funny, when I bought this at the dispensary, they're trying to sell it as a sativa, but chocolate OG is a pure indica.
Yeah.
I did research to make sure I'm not high remembering wrong, but
there's some good fucking fights coming up, man.
Oh man, great fight. So
obviously
that fight, if it happens, is good. Yeah. What's next after that?
Then the next, that's the last one. But then the ones we already knew about, like Woodley and Till's going down for sure now.
How about that face-off with Woodley and Till? How big is Darren Till next
Till's
to
a big
Woodley?
Motherfucker, which kind of worries me sometimes, because he was talking about he weighs 200 pounds 2 days ago.
And we are
He's
how many weeks
out?
A month out?
Exactly, a month out. 30 pounds. So, that's rough, man. And you got to think, only about 5 of that's probably water weight.
Well, he was towering over Woodley, towering over him.
Yeah. Cutting weight fucking sucks, bro. Like, did you see that video of him, like, almost dying when he had to, like, do that late weight cut?
That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like,
bro, it was
for real. As an MMA fan,
terrible.
That was terrible. I don't want to see things like that. I don't.
So here's the deal.
I'll pay money. I'll pay extra for that pay-per-view if you don't do that.
He's talking about he'll pick up this belt, defend it once, and move up to middleweight.
I hope so, because I don't want to ever see some shit like that again.
You know what I think really needs to go up to middleweight? After he beat Thompson, I think Thompson needs to go up to middleweight. That weight class is just like fucking locked at the top.
Yeah, and Thompson's not. Well, he has opportunities if Woodley loses, but I don't think
he can't touch that belt until Woodley.
I really don't want to see him and Darren Till fight again. That last fight wasn't that good.
It was just a real high class striking match.
It was, and it could have been so much more.
Almost a point fighting match.
Yeah. It just didn't live up to what I was hoping for.
Dude, he dropped him in the 4th, though.
He did.
Darren Till's a fucking.
I don't know, but seeing Till going blind, however many hours before that fight, and then going out and seeing that performance afterwards, I can't help but think that he'll just be much better a weight class above, because there's no way he's not highly diminished
for sure.
in that fight.
For sure.
Like, it's impossible. I don't give a fuck what he says. He's great. No, you're not.
I feel like it's a question of what weight class was he going to be able to dominate and make noise the most in first, and I think that's why he's fighting where he's fighting right now.
Well, he should pull a Lionheart.
Well, here's the deal: if he wins a welterweight, then beats Colby as well, and then let's say this is what happens. Let's say he beats Woodley right now, then he fights either Usman or Colby next, and then beats those two in a row. Who cares who he fights first or next? He beats Colby and Usman. Then he's going to pretty much own that division at that point. He would have slayed all the major contenders. And so then he moves up to middleweight, and then we see what really goes on, because then he fights God knows who's champ.
I'd like that. I like that scenario. I think that'd be pretty dope.
Or, fuck, man. Or Kevin Gastelum comes down and they have a super fight down. Or, dude, I think it would be better for Till if they moved up, though. He moves up and fight. If Gastelum beats Whitaker, he moves up, fights Gastelum.
Dude, I don't know.
We're talking
I'm trying to imagine.
Here,
I realize
we're talking long shots.
Gastelum is still fighting at 185, but dude, after we met him,
yeah, he's a small guy, dude.
And I'm actually a little bit taller than him. I was shocked. I cannot believe he's fighting these monsters like at 185. My respect grew after we chatted. I was like, oh my god, dude.
Let's say
it's unbelievable.
Let's say he somehow pulls it out and beats Whitaker.
That'd be amazing.
Then he gets Weidman, who fucking dominated him again. And Weidman just dominates him again. You see the Weidman Rockholder fighting now, too.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a good fight again.
Is it, though? I feel like that's a terrible fight for Weidman to have his comeback on. That is the worst fucking fight he could have took.
Yeah, but this is Rockhold that's been KO'd now several times.
Yeah, but
who literally does the back up with his chin out move like a few fights in a row now. Yeah. Like, he didn't do that before. This is a Strike Force. Rockhold did not stick his chin up in the air,
dude, for
drop his hands and move backwards.
For about a year there, when he fought Machida, he fought Bisping the first time, Machida, Weidman. Those like 3 fights right there were probably the best he ever was, bro. Like those 3 performances back to back to back to back were like 3 of the best performances he'll ever have in his career.
I'd agree with that.
Because he fucking murked Machida and just dominated Bisping. And then came in and shocked everyone and made Weidman look like a pussy on the ground.
That was good stuff, man.
Everyone was talking about the whole time about how his kickboxing was top notch, but he couldn't handle Weidman on the ground. And he went in there, took Weidman down, and dominated him. Like, he started dropping fucking bombs.
Oh, yeah, he beat that ass. That was good stuff, man.
Bombs. Because Weidman went from a clean face to just bloodied up and KO'd quick.
Yeah, that was on the Aldo McGregor undercard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a co-main.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that fight because everyone was tripping out because Aldo lost his title and Weidman lost his title, and both those fools were champs for a minute before they lost their title.
It was a historic card. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, dude. How many defenses did Weidman have? Like 6? 5?
Well, he beat Silva twice. I mean, he won the title off Silva.
One title,
beat Silva in the rematch.
Florida Machida.
And then he beat Machida. And then he
Shogun? I don't know, dude.
I'm not sure. I don't have can't look it up right now.
I'm gonna be like Michael Rappaport and not fucking. We don't fact check shit.
We don't fact check nothing. We rely on our stoner memory. After we've been taking dabs and smoking weed.
Yeah, fuck,
man. But he had several defenses. Yeah,
he was. That's what just made this. I hate to go back to this, but that's what made that Cejudo win last night so intense too. Is like, fucking DJ was like the final, like, pillar to drop.
Yeah, like that old school pillar.
He was like the last one to drop because everybody else because come to think of it, man, 5 years ago in the UFC, we had literally dominant champions in every weight class.
Yeah. Every
weight class. You had Kane, Jon Jones, Weidman, GSP, fucking Cruz. There's all the DJ, all the way down. Around. Aldo, like everyone was dominant champions, and then they all fell. I mean, Jon Jones never fell, but he fell off his cocaine wagon and
MSG.
Yeah.
November 3rd.
Fucking pray. The face you just made when you said that. Hey.
Got a secret. Hey, as a quick aside, you remember, what was it, our second episode, we were talking about Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor and MMA and how it was just a bunch of bullshit that we thought the UFC was trotting out to make a TV deal, remember? And we said, as soon as the TV deal happens, watch, that shit's going to die off. And what happened? Literally like 10 days after the TV deal, Floyd's like, I'm not fighting in MMA. And suddenly Woodley's not training him. Woodley was training him like 3 weeks before that, Woodley's like, "Oh, I'm
They
training him."
honey-dicked ESPN.
They honey-dicked ESPN. That's right. We
Everybody
called
else
it.
backed out, and ESPN
So we have a
was like-
history of making
ESPN
accurate
was like,
predictions.
wait, Floyd.
There's a strong history now of stoner predictions
Honey-dick.
being accurate on this show.
Yep.
November 3rd.
Yeah, fuck
Jon
your
Jones.
November 3rd, dude. That's not happening.
Dude, you know what else we got that's pretty exciting? We got that Volkan Ozdemir versus Lionheart.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier when I said he could pull a Lionheart. It's because that dude moves up a weight class and suddenly is looking much better.
This is a very good fight.
I love it,
not
man.
Gonna mean shit, though.
Oh, it's okay.
Any fight in the light heavyweight division or heavyweight division at this point doesn't mean shit.
Oh, yeah. You can take title implications right off the table with this
No
shit
more
thanks
titles.
to DC's
No more
bullshit.
titles. Not
But-
even DC, because then when DC
Well, it's
retires,
UFC.
then you got Jon Jones coming back. And no, I don't give a fuck about Anthony Lionheart Smith if he's fighting Jon Jones. He ain't
Nobody.
fucking with him. I don't give a
nobody.
fuck about Ozdemir. He's getting murked by Jones. There
No,
is
we all know this.
nobody that matters who is not named Gustafsson, DC, or Stipe. Nobody else. Unless somebody just like starts starching
Some crazy shit happens, like
Yeah.
Lesnar pulls off the miracle Buster Douglas,
about that.
beats Mike Tyson shit.
I don't know about that. I don't even necessarily like.
Because
think
that's what it would
that's
be.
even going to be a close fight. Like, at
No,
all.
I doubt that's going to happen. You hear what DC said? He'll give Stipe a rematch if Lesnar can't fight.
Yeah. Well, did you hear what he said last night on broadcast air?
Oh, I was noticing the crickets when the eye pokes were happening, and then suddenly he came out and said, "Yeah, I eye poked him."
Yeah, he goes.
But then he's
"It's-
like, "But
no,"
he eye
goes-
poked me too."
Yeah, he goes, it's a strange situation because in that fight, I poked him a lot of times in the eyes. But it's fighting. Things happen.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't happen.
Not in that
Thanks for
way.
admitting it, but you still won off an eye poke.
You don't accidentally flick your fingers forward at the end of a
Dude,
punch.
he was doing that a lot.
Like,
a
that's
lot.
not an accident.
He was
You
like, oh,
keep your hand
jab,
closed,
jab,
man.
Jab,
Like-
up, jab, jab. Like, whoa, bro. It's different from what Henry Cejudo was doing last night, though, because he almost got docked for that because he was going like this and he was just catching the punch. So if you watched in like the second round, he stopped catching it out and he started catching it like with his like moving his shoulder up like it was.
Well,
Straight.
that's where you can make an argument if an eye poke had happened that it was accidental.
Yeah.
But DC was in no way doing that. We've gone over the footage. He flicks his hand out in slow motion. You can see
Yeah.
it. Like, you don't throw punches that way. You don't open your hands.
He was throwing them out like he was trying to test his range based off his fingertips. Like
On his fingertips where
Like, I'm not
Stipe's
even joking. Like
eyeballs were.
He was like he was throwing punches, and if like he was a little too far out, he would like throw his shoulder out
Yeah,
more,
that was
almost to
this.
like, is that the range? You know, like
I can get on camera. Ting.
you guys just got poked in the eyes.
Call that the
But,
DC from here on out.
Yeah, so I mean, I hate to do this to this fight because this is a good fight, but no fight matters.
No, it doesn't matter, but it'll still be fun, and I love the fight, and I can't wait to watch it.
But who do they go from there though? Because then you got Lionheart who's gonna be, I want a title. If he wins this fight, he's gonna think he deserves the DC, but DC will never fight that kid.
It's going to depend on who Jon Jones beats at Madison Square Garden this November.
Dude, what if they do that? If he beats Ozdemir, just calls out Jon Jones, Lionheart Jones, Madison Square Garden.
Jon Jones will be killing the lion.
Dude. Yeah, that would fuck. He'd be fucked, man. I'm telling you, that's what's like crazy is like Jones is so young, so I just don't even know if he comes back if he's gonna fight very much longer, because he's just gonna run out of interesting fights really quick.
No, he's got some heavyweight. I legit think he's going to move up.
Okay, so he moves up. Who legitimately do you think has a chance of beating Jon Jones at heavyweight?
Nobody, but there's still lots of fun fights he could have.
Like who?
Like, those dudes could knock him out a lot more than some heavyweights. Anybody.
Who? Name a fight that you want to see Jon Jones fight.
Okay, well, you know the heavyweight division is shitty right now, but I'd love to see him
Exactly,
against, I'd love
my
to see him
point.
against Stipe.
My point.
All right, Stipe, Francis,
No.
Derek Lewis.
No.
I'm not saying they're going to beat him.
No
they're going to
way,
get
bro.
murked, but I'd watch it.
Francis versus Jon Jones?
You wouldn't watch the Black Beast versus Jon Jones? Are you kidding
Fuck
me?
no, dude. Roy Nelson beat Black Beast on some bullshit.
And you don't think it would be entertaining to watch Jon Jones versus
No.
the Black Beast? I do. I love it.
Would you watch Jon Jones just Roy
Dude,
Nelson?
heavyweight's different. I don't require my heavyweight action to be top-level MMA, a la like Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo.
When you fight,
these are big strikers.
When you fight Jones, you need it to be, or you're gonna get flat.
Yeah, but Jones has got a bunch of weight. He's not going to be like as speedy as he is right now.
Jones,
if he were to do it,
if he moves up, he's gonna start hanging out with his buddies again. He's gonna get popped.
He's 31 now. He's over that shit. I keep my fingers crossed.
So let's say, how many actual years do you think Jones has left if he were to come back?
Dude, it depends on his desire to.
Let's say he
establish a legacy different than his current one.
Of the light heavyweight division, and I don't know, fights Stipe or some shit, someone like that. Whoever's the #1 contender or champion at heavyweight, he beats them too. You think he had all in the span of like 2 or 3 years? You think he'll fight more than 2 or 3 years?
It depends on how active he is. If he's doing 1-2 fights a year, maybe. If he's actually trying to keep the 3-a-year schedule, which is unusual at heavyweight, I doubt it.
It's so weird because he's such an active fighter, and now ever since like all his suspensions and stuff, it's so weird that you're not that like people view him as somebody who never fights just because a lot of the younger fans and people like that weren't like there when he had his like rise and realized he was fighting like 3 times a year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
With the title.
Yeah. It depends on how
Like,
he feels about his legacy, really.
I feel like the structure of the UFC has changed so much since then too.
Oh, yeah.
Because back then the UFC used to make you fucking defend your title or you're fucking getting stripped. Like that's how it's been forever.
Well, yeah, fighters had no voice. No. Not even Jon Jones.
All of a sudden, it's literally.
I mean, he refused Chael, but I mean, look, they threw him under the bus when he refused Chael. That was like crazy.
Yeah,
that was a crazy thing when it happened.
For sure.
These days, nobody bats an eye, but that was. I mean, Dana went out and threw Greg Jackson, his whole team, everybody under the bus with that shit.
They whooped Chael's ass.
As
with a broken toe.
Can you imagine if Chael would have got that like technical championship like Vitor Belfort when he won with the scratch on fucking Couture's eye?
Well, they didn't even see it.
His toe was nasty. Jones is a tough motherfucker, man.
Joe Rogan was the one to point it out after the fight.
He's like, your toe. Right in the interview. Like, look at your toe, man.
It's like
that's awesome.
My brother's friend, Josh Emmett, who's in the UFC, dude. His first fight, he caught a kick and fucking literally sliced his fucking damn finger off, bro. Like it broke his finger, and then like it ripped the skin back, and it was just hanging in between rounds, bro. It was crazy.
Oh, that's brutal.
Dana White posted it on his Instagram after it happened. He was like, and then it got reported by Instagram because it was graphic.
Damn.
But yeah.
Well.
That's crazy.
Is that it for all the big fights?
Because then you got Israel Adesanya versus Derek Brunson.
Yeah.
Because he's too small.
That shit was pretty funny at the press conference.
He's like, shut your small ass up.
Calling out Israel because of his size. Bro, I think Adesanya's going to whoop him up.
Small ass hands fucking KO your ass.
Adesanya's going to whoop him.
Well, like we were talking about before.
He's got a wrestler's chance, your boys, with the wrestling. But
Derek Brunson lost to Brad Tavares. So why the fuck did he get this fight? Like I
can't remember who he's fought in between. But he won.
I'm gonna have to fucking go against my
you can break out
shit
the phone.
And facts check this shit because I just don't understand where they're thinking with this fight because it's just a strange.
I mean, he lost to Anderson Silva in a fight I actually thought he won.
Who?
Brunson.
Fuck Derek. I'm just kidding. Alright, so.
But Adesanya's going to win that fight. I think they made it just due to rankings. Brunson's ranked 8th.
He never fought Tavares. But he lost to Whitaker, Anderson Silva. His last 3 fights, he just lost to Jacare, and then he gets Israel Adesanya. I don't get that. Didn't he get
that's right. He fought
Jacare.
Yeah, that was he got worked. He's going to get worked by Israel.
His last win was Lyoto Machida, bro. Who's in Bellator. But here's the deal. is this is kind of, I feel like this is just the UFC like throwing somebody at Adesanya like, really show me what you got then. You know, because he had a great showing against Tavares where he fucking just dominated him for 5 rounds. And now the UFC's like, all right, that was nice. And maybe you deserve a top 5 guy, but here's like a number 8 guy. If you just put him away quick, we'll give you, top 3 guy next probably.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I'm thinking that's the case. I'm thinking Adesanya, they threw up a name and Adesanya was like, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the deal, too. They've been going back and forth on Twitter for a minute, too.
Yeah, Brunson's trying to talk shit. It's just weak.
Yeah.
It's all about his size.
Go lift, Bo. Like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, I guess that's all the fights. No other big fights were announced, right?
Yeah. All right, see you guys next week.
Oh, wait.
We'll pull the UFC fucking press conference.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait.
Wasn't there something about some Irish dude and that Russian cat?
Yeah. Dude, they fucking... UFC, I can't believe that UFC did that, bro. They used the dolly in the promo. After they go, that was the most disgusting thing to ever happen in the sport of MMA. And
yeah, I was waiting for them to cut to that.
And they go, breaking news. Conor McGregor in incident.
It was like, the lead-in.
You.
Well, actually, I thought it was pretty cool. They went deep because a lot of people in the beginning weren't reporting that thing that happened with Artem. They were trying to blow it off, like Conor didn't have a reason.
Yeah.
But they actually brought that all in too.
Man.
Yeah, they brought all that into play. Conor defending his boy.
So does this mean Artem's not cut?
Yeah. Now he's in the footage. Isn't he the reason why you're getting this footage? Technically.
Yeah, I think Artem deserves a little.
They should put him on that card.
There's a little pat on the back.
So yeah, we're getting that fight, man. We're getting it right here in Vegas, like we called. We're getting it right here. We're going to all the stuff surrounding that fight. For sure.
They said they're going to announce it in the coming week. All the interviews and
interviews, weigh-ins, pre-fight, workouts, every single thing that we will be at
within the week. So
absolutely, dude. I'm so excited, and it's happening quick.
Oh, dude.
Real fast.
I just... dude.
2 months away, 8 weeks.
I can't even fucking believe it, bro. Like,
I'm
it's
so
one of those situations where it's like, we've been waiting so fucking long for all this shit just to go away, for him to get back in the octagon. And we're finally going to... We're 2 months out already. That's what's strange. I didn't expect them to do it this early. I thought they'd do the world tour, the fucking... all that shit... Get a whole bunch of money out of it, but they're kind of doing it short, sweet, and to the
Dana
point.
said no world tour, which means we'll get all the action right here in town.
Yeah. Well, and it's strange that usually they draw these kind of events out, similar to what they did with DC and Stipe, where they announce it fucking 6 months out or some shit like that.
You know why they're not doing that? Part of what plays into that too is because they got all this footage already from the bus incident, man. There's your story. True. They can just run that over.
Plus, you don't want these guys traveling around all around the world for 6 months next to each other. They'll beat the shit out of each other on camera.
That's why they were sure to tie the Artem thing in too, because it adds to that storyline.
Yep.
And if they're smart at all,
well, and you know what it provoked a lot as well. It provoked the question of, is there some kind of saying in the contract that neither of them can touch each other during anything? He got that question so many times last night in the press conference. He's like, nope, they're all good. We have plenty of faith in how much money we're paying to them that they won't fucking fight.
Yeah. They're not going to fight. They're professionals.
Do you see that weird-ass fucking video of Khabib, like, paying a homeless dude to do push-ups?
No, I missed that. Tell me about it. What is this?
Weird as fuck.
He's on Instagram?
Yeah.
He paid a homeless guy. Was it in Russia or here in the U.S.?
No, in L.A. He was...
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know if it was in L.A., but it's
the guy was asking for money. Like, he was asking for money and he made him do push-ups?
In United States. But, yeah, dude. It's fucking just, like, standing outside this coffee shop. One of those guys that he, like, rolls around with, fucking talking to this homeless dude, like, trying to give him some money. And he's like, come on, do some push-ups. And fucking... homeless dude's like fucking struggling, bro. They're all just like laughing. I was like, what the fuck, man? I don't really know what the caption was, because a lot of times he puts his captions in Russian, so I don't really know.
I don't like people making fun of the homeless.
Especially, I don't know if it's even like that though. So I don't even want to make it like I don't even want to make like a fucking like.
Yeah, I don't want to turn it into.
I don't want to turn it into something it's not. But I don't know. It looked weird. It looked pretty weird.
Oh, that's not cool, but hopefully it's not like that. Damn, this is that Jack Herer. This is one of my favorite strains, dude. This is so fucking tasty. You'll notice it right away. This, as far as sativas go, this is probably my favorite.
Yeah. Dude. So, did you hear that, that video Brendan Shaw broke down this fight already?
I haven't. With that car accident, man, I haven't been in a lot, or I'm a little bit behind on things.
Bro, so this is a scenario Brendan Shaw laid out that would make Conor the greatest fighter of all time. So let's say he beats Khabib, pulls it out. Then he beats GSP. How do you sell him? How do you say he's not the greatest of all time? And then he goes, and if you don't think that's enough, let's turn around and look at his whole resume.
How could that not be enough? He should be getting more respect now for those wins over Holloway, those wins over Poirier. Even if they were a little bit dated, it doesn't matter. Conor's skill showed through back then. His resume is ridiculous.
His resume is pretty crazy. Mendes, Aldo, Poirier, Holloway, Alvarez. Oh, man. GSP and Khabib, add them both on there. Goat.
That would be beautiful.
Goat.
Well, let's talk about this Khabib fight. I mean, honestly, I think we're more likely to see what happened with Alvarez than we are to see Conor get worked for 5 rounds by a wrestler.
I think so too. I don't know. I'll play devil's advocate here with you because we're both kind of on the
we're Conor fanboys on this channel,
but
whatever.
I'll play devil's advocate here, and this is how. Like, Khabib is definitely something else on the ground. And that pressure, if he digs Conor into deep water, he's fucked. That's one huge thing about this fight. Is this fight, yeah, it could be like the Alvarez fight, but at the same time, it has to be like the Alvarez fight for it to be a good night for Conor. It has to be. Because if Conor gets put on the ground by Khabib, he'll get tore up down there.
I think that's can't be argued that Khabib is definitely going to have a big advantage, but I think Conor can withstand it. I think there's a bit of a myth, honestly, on Conor's gas tank. I don't think it's near as bad as it's portrayed. I think it's more of a storyline. I mean, he's had no losses at decisions. Like, he went 5 rounds with Diaz, won. He went 3 rounds with Holloway, won. Like, did he get tired out? Yes, but he still carried on. He comes back. He wins the fight.
His only problem, though, is Khabib's got so much volume at the same time as he has pressure.
Well, he's gassed in exactly 2 fights. He gassed in Diaz 1. And it's not an excuse to look at the weight circumstances, the way he was eating, which is all documented. Yeah. The fact that his whole camp was different. He came in a weight he didn't ever compete at before and blew himself out. And yeah, totally gassed. Yeah. And he also gassed in the Floyd Mayweather fight in the 10th round at the 30-minute mark, where he frankly should have received a standing 8 count like any other boxer would have. But instead they just called it off because whatever. Yeah. Doesn't matter at this point. So in those both times you could say, look at him and be like, yeah, that dude's gassing right there.
Yep.
So now he has a bad gas tank? Like, I'm saying, and he hasn't been working on that. Like, he hasn't been putting in the work. This is 2 years since he's fought. It's been 2 years. He hasn't been putting in any work.
It's hard to tell, though, because then you could also kind of say he gassed in the Mendes fight as well. Because although he tired Mendes out, here's the deal. When he put Mendes away, he was swinging with his mouth open.
Yeah, but we also know, and this Conor never said this just came out in the Notorious documentary, that he was dealing with some severe knee injuries in that fight, too. which is going to reduce
See,
the
I
cardio
hate-
that
I
he
hate
can
that,
do.
Man. I hate that.
But
when
that's why
fighters-
he's never put it
True.
out. He's never said that. That just
True.
showed itself in the documentary
100%.
that you couldn't hide it. It was like he was
Yeah.
dealing with it in the camp.
Yeah,
So
true.
just for the record, he's never brought it up.
But I just hate that though. When fighters are compromised, it's hard to judge them because they're compromised. Yeah.
Right.
It's hard to tell a guy. It's hard to tell a guy. Oh,
And ultimately,
now
it doesn't
you
matter.
suck, you know?
Like, because
Yeah.
you're right, he did gas a bit in that fight, but it didn't matter because he won. I think he's gonna knock Khabib out.
I think so.
I
Too.
think, and
I
my
think
main,
so too. I'm done being the devil.
well, and to people who think otherwise, I mean, we could all agree that 2 years ago, Conor's striking was on another level in the UFC.
Oh, it still
And
is.
then what did he do in the 2 years since then? He went and trained for a fight against the greatest boxer of all time and focused on nothing but striking.
He's not the greatest boxer of all time.
Well, that's beside. You're right, but the hypothetical greatest boxer of all time, right?
Yeah.
And he focuses on nothing but striking.
Here's my
And now he's coming
problem,
back to
though.
MMA.
Now he's
It's going to be on another
a
level
bear
again.
wrestler.
Yeah, it's going to be on another level again, though, when Khabib constantly comes in and takes shots. Michael Johnson lit him up. Alaya Quinta was surviving it and punching him up.
Yeah.
Connor, that's a little different.
It's really gonna depend on what size Khabib comes into the octagon at as well. Because yeah, he's obviously gonna have to come in at 155 for the weigh-in. But what does he weigh in when he's in the cage?
But his real size.
Because Conor is most likely only gonna weigh like 165 when he hits the cage. Khabib could possibly weigh like 170, 175 by that time.
That wouldn't surprise me.
You
So,
know.
only 8 weeks away, which is going to fly by because every week there's going to be training news, there's going to be Instagram posts, there's going to be shit to talk about.
Yeah.
Thank you, UFC, for coming through with
Finally.
some fights.
You're back.
You know what was pretty sad? There was a contingent of MMA media that was actually putting out articles complaining that the UFC did not punish Conor McGregor and like suspend him.
I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, fuck that shit. Let's just
Dude, this isn't the NFL. There's not this huge binding fucking league where they have where they have agreements on how they can act and how they can't act and what is a punishable offense and what isn't a punishable offense.
If there was a collective bargaining agreement, then I'd understand. If
That'd
there
be
was
different.
a players' union,
There'd be a code of
and an
conduct
owners'
outlaid.
union, yeah, exactly.
Notice UFC don't talk about that anymore. They had one like years ago. Remember when Diaz tweeted that somebody was a fag and then they got suspended and he said it was because of his code of conduct and they fined him 20 G's.
When Paul Daly fucking smacked.
Right. They don't do that
kicked
anymore.
out of the UFC.
William Morris Endeavor is not using the code of conduct anymore. There's nothing laid out. So why? This is fighting. We have to acknowledge that there's different things. You can't say it's on the same level as the NFL when there's not those type of agreements and things laid out on paper.
But there's also been situations like the Travis Brown incident where
That was beating
Travis
a woman.
Brown. My point though is, if you're gonna punish people, punish everyone. Don't just punish.
Yeah, but there's levels though. Domestic violence is different than what
Of course,
ultimately wound up being a misdemeanor.
Let's turn this around and say, instead of it being a misdemeanor, Conor got the felony, but he just paid it off. Like he just had to spend like 10 days in jail and pay a huge fine.
Then the UFC might react different. We don't know. But you have to look at like New York City thought it wasn't a big enough deal. They gave him 5 fucking days of community service.
They pull his fucking passport. What's the UFC? Do you think the UFC suspends him then? They just pull his passport. They deport him back to Ireland. Like,
Yeah, probably. I think they probably would, even if it was just a token one that coincided. It was being over as soon as he got his passport back.
Or like, or it was just like just New York. He could never go back to New York, which could happen, dude. The state of New York can say, "No, you can't come back here, bro." I think the UFC would have suspended him then. Ah, shit! Here they come. They got Conor.
They might. It's hard to tell in this new era.
Yeah.
The Fertittas might have. But what are they supposed to do? Be like, oh, well, we're going to punish you worse than the state where you committed the crime?
True.
In the city whose jurisdiction that it was in deemed necessary? It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous argument. And it points to, like, the pussification of media in this sport, which drives me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And we're not journalists here. I'm not trying to be like we're equal to people like Jeff Wagenheim, who's his article I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
Or like Ariel. I fucking love Ariel Helwani, dude. And we're not journalists, but he once said that he didn't like the term fighting because it sounded like kind of bad. It's fighting. Like dude.
It is fighting.
It's fucking fighting. It's you can't
It's
deny the reality. It's
yeah.
two men in a cage fist fighting.
Yep.
It's not the NFL. It's
It'll
not basketball. It's not. It's
no.
I get we as all fans we all want it to be like considered this major sport.
Let's put it this way. Why do they call football a game, but in wrestling it's a match?
Boxing's a match as well.
You ever hear, hey, you're gonna go watch the wrestling game today?
Oh, you're right. So
no.
Same thing with boxing. It's a boxing match.
Like, yeah.
UFC is a fight.
Dude, if you're go team on team in a wrestling, it's called a duel. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's a one-on-one sport that there's high levels of, like, possible consequences, bro. That's what people don't understand. Like, I feel like that's why some of these, like, wrestlers and taekwondo guys and stuff like that come into the UFC after, like, fighting for a while and shit like that have such an advantage. Because there's something to be said about having the experience of, like, let's say you're a college wrestler. Let's say you're DC, or let's say, you're Henry Cejudo. You've had 100,000 people watching you since you were 17 years old.
You could even say that about Brock Lesnar, who we were just talking shit about. But, I mean, he's got legit wrestling.
Well, no, I just mean mentally.
Yeah, he's
mentally.
He had that same high level of competition.
Some of these guys that are just like, were just kind of boxing when they were younger, just started training in the gym, got good enough and got a fight. They don't have that same, like, conditioned, like, mentality compared to, like, wrestlers and guys who boxers and stuff like that have been doing their entire life. Henry Cejudo, I think that's really big in what goes into last night's fight. Because Henry Cejudo, where most of the guys who fought DJ were, when they got in trouble, they panicked. Henry had already been in situations like that, where he was in big trouble and had to conquer extreme adversity in front of 100,000 fucking people. The Staples Center sold out last night for two fucking 125-pound dudes to fight. Like,
love it.
That people constantly say that their division is trash, but at the end of the day, they still they fucking put on exciting fights, man.
Dude, that was great.
Like, there's something to be said for the mental fortitude of being in those big title fights and facing adversity and being able to overcome it. Because
100%.
There was a couple of times where DJ could have stopped Henry if he was fighting Henry 2 years ago. If that was Henry from 2 years ago, he would have been finished in the third.
That's the beautiful thing about combat sports and MMA in general is it's degrees of mental fortitude. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Jon Jones getting fucking armbarred by Vitor, breaking his own arm, still breaks his arm, comes back and fucking beats him, dude. Like,
yeah, to be able to do that, to compete, for most people to even compete in, like, wrestling, like you did, boxing, like I did, which are individual combat sports, it's crazy to them. It's like, ways of fighting another person. Like, I would never do that. Yeah. Let alone following it up the ladder with your degrees of your mental fortitude and taking it like someone like Cejudo or Jones all the way to the fucking top. Yeah. And it's just amazing. It's really, it's
crazy. And you know what? It's different from other sports at the same time, too, because those guys in football and basketball, they have the same situation where
but they have a team around them, though.
Exactly. They have people that are around them that could lift them up. When you're on a wrestling mat, it's you and the other guy.
Exactly.
And if he's in your head and he's fucking with you, it doesn't matter what the fuck your coach is yelling at you. 90% of the time, you don't hear shit out there.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't hear shit.
Same in boxing.
You don't hear shit out there. You just got to go.
Same. You get in there and you go and you hear that ring.
Yep. it's crazy to think like, dude, what he
Love
did
it,
last night was such like a spiritual moment for like someone like that too, who would overcome so much adversity in life. His story alone,
And he did it right at
like,
home too. Like
Yeah.
grew up two
fucking
blocks from
homeless
there or
when he was
something.
a kid
Yeah.
or something. Dude,
Yeah.
he was talking about he was
It's a great
homeless.
story. Good for him. It's really good to see.
Fucking, like, dude, actually, one of my brother's friends wrestled him in high school for the state title twice.
Oh.
And, dude, he's fucking tough, man. He was a tough fucking wrestler. He's a small guy, obviously, but he's a tough fucking wrestler, too.
Yeah, these guys are awesome. It was great. It was great seeing them get that showcase. I hope the numbers come in good for the pay-per-view and they make some money. But
Yeah.
pay-per-views on the UFC have been a little on the downswing.
A little weak.
That'll change in October. You think that'll be the highest selling UFC pay-per-view of all
Without a
time?
Connor's about to be 1, 2, 3.
I think so, because that footage, their decision to use that footage seals the deal.
Yeah, they're selling out.
That's going to be the entire
They're selling out
storyline.
and buying in.
It's going to be the whole story.
Yep, for sure.
The
It's
friendship.
funny how no one's brought it up, though. Have you noticed that? None of the MMA media has brought it up at all. Have brought up them using that as a promotion
I
video.
haven't seen a word, actually.
Not at all?
I mean, maybe they're not surprised, but...
Well, fucking Dana White's such a scumbag, bro.
Well, yeah, like you said earlier, I mean, he literally went from saying it was the most despicable thing he'd ever seen in MMA.
He was talking about, maybe I'll even have to sue him. And fucking, there's tons of employees here that will sue him.
That's Dana. All right, well, I think that about wraps it up for today, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, man. It's fucking some good fights, some good weed. Fucking
If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit that
Subscribe,
like
like.
button.
Hell
If you
yeah.
find us on iTunes, Google Play, even more, just go to SWATMMA.com.
Hell
We're going to
yeah.
get back to smoking this herb here. Peace, everybody.
Later.